Hey guys, welcome to another knife talk video. Today we are going to be looking at a certain topic, and I'm going to try to stay on this topic, and it is bearings versus washers. Alright, and which ones are better with your knife. Alright, so we're going to go over pros and cons of both systems. I'll tell you what my preferred method is, or my preferred system is, and which one might be best for you. So I have a couple topics we're going to go over. First one is smoothness and freeness. Okay? Washers are very smooth. These happen to be Teflon washers, and this knife is very, very smooth. You can feel no bumps, no hang-ups as you open this blade. Whether slow or fast, you just can't feel them. Same with the Sebenza. Sebenza is the smoothest knife I own, but it's not very free. What do I mean by smoothness and freeness? Like I said, smoothness, if you slow open it, you won't feel any bumps. It'll be like liquid smoothness. If you own a Sebenza, or if you own an XM18, or perhaps a Strider, I've known some Striders can be pretty smooth, but specifically the Sebenza, you'll know what I mean by liquid smoothness. But like I said, it's not very free, and to define freeness, it would be blades that just want to close or open, that there's barely any friction in there and they just want to fly open. This knife and washer knives can be flicked open with ease, but if you take a washer knife and a knife on washers and a knife on ball bearings, 9 times out of 10 the ball bearing knife will want to deploy faster, and 9 times out of 10 it will deploy faster. Here's the last knife on washers we're going to look at. Recent acquisition. I just got this one in the mail today. Strider SNG, this one in Lego with flamed titanium on the lock side and a plain blade. Probably the exact variation I would want in a Strider. I might like it to be CC, but you know, everything's a compromise, as Solo's Knife Review likes to say. Knife Reviews. Sorry, I keep saying Solo's Knife Review instead of reviews. Anyway, this knife is on washers. This knife is very smooth. Smoother than these two. But it's not as free. Let me show you the Sebenza again. This one, it really, with that lock bar on it, it really takes some effort to shake. Now let's talk a little bit about ball bearings. Ball bearings make a very free knife. Very free. Freest knife I've ever owned was a Microtech SOCOM Delta, and that blade, I could release the lock bar and get my finger out of the way and it would close on itself. And that was kind of scary with my edge, because, you know, with a very sharp blade coming towards your thumb, you know, that can be a little unnerving. But anyway, ball bearing knives are very free, but ball bearing knives are not always as smooth. This particular one, I can feel each and every one of the ball bearings run across this blade. And I could on the SOCOM Delta, and I could on a lot of the ball bearing knives that I've owned. You can feel as those ball bearings roll across the blade, which means that they're not as smooth as knives with washers. They're freer because there's less surface area touching the blade and there's less friction, but they're not as smooth. Here's a Southern Evo. This knife is very smooth for being on ball bearings. Very smooth. In fact, you can barely detect the balls rolling, but you can detect it. But this knife also is very free. Likes to fire out. Just give it a little shake and it will close on itself. Very free, pretty smooth, but not as smooth as these. So what else do you sacrifice or gain with bearings or washers? In my opinion, washers are a lot better at keeping dirt and grime out of the pivot area. Because you have that full size washer contacting the blade, there's not a lot of room for lint and dirt and grime to get in between the washer and the blade. That is not the case for ball bearings. For ball bearings, I'm going to try to get you a look in here. You might be able to see some of the shadows of the ball bearings. Yeah, there you can see some. Let's try the Avo. This one is very tight tolerances, so you probably won't be able to. But with ball bearings, you have kind of like a ball, a ball, a ball, a ball, a ball, and spaces in between, which give the knife, gives the pivot room, and gives lint room to get in there and squeeze in between the ball bearings and really bind up your knife. I've had that problem with the Benchmade 761. That knife was very smooth, not as free for a ball bearing knife, but because it was ball bearings, you had lint and dirt that got in it, and I had to take that knife apart fairly frequently to keep it clean. I have not had to take a washer knife apart because it needed to be cleaned and because dirt had gotten in between the pivot and the washer. I have not had to do that yet. Not to say it can't happen, but it's less prone to it than ball bearing knives. So, because of that, maybe a work knife, it would be better if it was made out of washers so that it would keep functioning the same way throughout the day. I'm talking like you use your knife a lot for work. So what about the pros for ball bearings? Well, they make the best flippers and thumb stud deployers and the best deploying knives out there, in my opinion. Of course, there are still good washer knives to deploy. I mean, the XM18, this thing is a dream. Whoops, with the thumb stud. A Strider, I mean, I just got this today. Oh, that wasn't a good example. Still getting used to it. But it's not a slouch on deploying. But 9 times out of 10, if you take a knife that's identically like an identical knife and you put washers and ball bearings in both sides, or on like ball bearings, washers, the ball bearing knife will probably deploy more readily. So if you're the type of guy, a suburban guy maybe, that you maybe use your knife once or twice a day, you don't really get dirty, you don't use your knife constantly, then maybe a ball bearing knife is more what you're looking for. Personally, I prefer washers. Oh, one more point. Washers also tend to be a little bit more, tend to be a little stronger in the pivot area because you have that full washer contacting the blade and giving it support side to side. When a ball bearings knife only has those ball bearings touching the blade and the handle, and so there's less surface area touching the blade, and thus it gives it less prying strength. Alright, so this was just a little video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to have more of these type videos coming out. I have a couple planned. One on polished edges versus factory edges, or toothy edges, I should say. Polished versus toothy, and my thoughts on that. And then maybe more on knife lock systems and blade steels and stuff. Just let me know what type of topics you would like for me to cover, and I will do my best. Let me know if you want me to do a collection update and why I only have 5 lock folding or folding knives that lock. Why I only have 5 of them, and most of them are pretty expensive, and I'll do a video on that. So just let me know in the comments what type of video you'd like to see. As always, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. If you agree or disagree, what type of knives you normally carry, if you normally carry ball bearing knives or washer knives. Follow me on Instagram, JW Knives, the same as the channel name. And check out my True Sharp page if you want to get a wickedly sharp knife. Alright, so that's it guys, see you on the next one.